Good morning and welcome to the Killik & Co market update. The big focus this week has been NVIDIA's results, which were published on Wednesday. Not only is NVIDIA by far the biggest company on the stock exchange, it's also seen as a barometer for the AI industry. NVIDIA shares had been quite weak going into these results, most likely due to comments in the media about an AI bubble. Here's the one-year chart. You can see the shares peaked at the end of October, and they've since come down from those highs. In the end, the results were better than expected. NVIDIA reported revenue of $57 billion for the 3 months ending in October, and that was better than the $55 billion that was expected, and it was a 62% growth rate compared to the same period of last year. NVIDIA's future guidance was also good. The company expects to make $65 billion in the current quarter. While many companies have put in big orders for NVIDIA's chips, some questions have been arising as to how some of these companies will pay for these orders. Oracle, for example, is a provider of cloud computing infrastructure. OpenAI is a customer of Oracle. Earlier this year, Oracle announced it had signed a deal worth $30 billion a year to provide computing power to OpenAI. Here's the Oracle share price over the last 12 months. The stock jumped when that deal was announced, but it has since declined as investors have questioned how Oracle will fund this deal. Some discomfort with Oracle can also be seen in the bond market. Here's the price of an Oracle bond that matures in 2034. It's currently trading at about 92 cents on the dollar, suggesting there is some concern about Oracle's ability to pay its debts. Still on the subject of big tech, Alphabet has been in the news this week. Firstly because Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's investment vehicle, has taken a stake in the business. Here are the top holdings in the Berkshire Hathaway portfolio. Apple is at the top there with a 21% weighting, American Express is number 2 at 17%, and the Alphabet stake at the bottom there is relatively small at 1.7%, but nevertheless it has been good for sentiment. Also this week, Alphabet launched Gemini 3, which is the third iteration of its AI model. The reviews have been good so far, and the take-up of Gemini has picked up of late. Here are the monthly active users for various AI models. ChatGPT at 850 million, Gemini at 450, Elon Musk's Grok at 35, and Perplexity at 22. I did ask Gemini for these figures, so hopefully they're not too biased. This week's positive developments have pushed Alphabet stock to a new record high. A few other bits and bobs from this week. Firstly, the Federal Reserve released the minutes from its last meeting, and these showed some differences in opinion regarding the trajectory of interest rates. An interest rate cut in the US in December is now seen as less likely than it was previously. We've also had the latest UK inflation data, which came out this week at 3.6%. That was less than expected and might pave the way for interest rate cuts here in the UK. And finally, the UK government looks set to ban the resale of tickets above their original face value. And that follows complaints about touts buying up loads of Oasis tickets and selling them on for thousands of pounds. Ticket resale company StubHub only listed on the stock exchange back in September, but shares are down 37% since then. The past week has been a particularly bad one for the company. Firstly, it refused to provide a forecast for the current quarter when it published its results at the end of last week, and then the UK government's plans regarding resales were released over the weekend. Live events are an important part of the economy, so we'll be keeping a close eye on developments here. Moving on to have a look at next week, there are no Killik covered companies scheduled to report, but stay tuned for the autumn budget on Wednesday. That's it from us. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Friday.